Okay, hello everybody. It's Rabbi Teller here. I know that I am not in school today, unfortunately. I'm here with the high school at CBI, watching them play some baseball. I saw Aryeh here yesterday, which was fantastic. The team's doing very well, 1-1. They won a big game last night, which was very exciting. And we'll be playing in the silver tier, which is like tier 2 semifinals today later this afternoon. So hopefully we'll bring home another win. So for today, I'd like you to open your Gemara to Kaf Chet Amud Aleph. Right? You see in the top left corner, Kaf Chet Amud Aleph. This was the Amud we were learning the very long story on of Rabbi Yoshua and Rabban Gamliel. So we have finished that story. And the very next Gemara, the very next piece of Gemara is what we're going to focus on today. All you need today is your Gemara, open to Kaf Chet Amud Aleph. You need a separate piece of paper that hopefully the sub has passed out to you, and you need a pencil or a pen. We're going to learn this next piece of Gemara together, and what you need to finish by the end of this period is a translation of this Gemara on that piece of paper that you can then put in a page protector that I will check when I come back on Wednesday to make sure that it's done. Okay, we're going to be finishing this small piece of Gemara on Kaf Chet Amud Aleph, and then tomorrow we're going to be starting a brand new Mishnah on Kaf Chet Amud Bet. As we've said many times, I am sure that everyone will be extremely respectful to our sub, and that nobody is going to be playing any video games on their Chromebooks during this period. Instead, we're going to be learning strong and finishing up this beautiful section of Gemara. Okay? Without further ado. So again, your Gemara should be open to Kaf Chet Amud Aleph, if you want to see one more time. And we had actually done all of this, every piece of this Gemara before was the story. It went all the way until, it's very long, as you guys know, all the way to this double dot over here. And now we are on a new section of Gemara, which starts with Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Actually, it starts with a quote from the Mishnah, Vishel Musafin Kol Hayom. So here we go. Okay, the Mishnah had said, the Mishnah was talking about each and every tefillah that we say, and it told us until when you can say that tefillah until, right? Shacharit until Arba Sha'ot, or Chatzot, Mincha until this. We had just finished talking about Mariv, which was the whole debate of Mariv, Reshut, or Chovah. Now the Gemara wants to talk just a little bit about Musaf. So it quotes the Mishnah, Vishel Musafin Kol Hayom. Please write that down. It quotes the Mishnah, Musaf you can daven all day long. All day long. That was according to the Tanakama. Rabbi Yehuda argued, by the way, and said you only have until the 7th hour of the day to daven Musaf. And that's going to be relevant to this discussion. So please write that down. According to the Tanakama in the Mishnah, you can daven Musaf all day. According to Rabbi Yehuda, only until the 7th hour. And on that, the Gemara discusses. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said, V'nikra poshea, period. You can punctuate your Gemara as well. Please put a period after poshea. Rabbi Yochanan said, if you daven Musaf so late in the day, if you delay davening Musaf, you are considered a sinner. You're considered a poshea. You're considered someone who sins. Which means even though the Mishnah said you can daven Musaf all day long, a person who delays it that long, right? A person who waits such a long time to daven Musaf is considered a poshea, is considered a sinner. Which means, although you have all day, you shouldn't procrastinate. We've talked about that in this class before. Don't procrastinate. Don't delay. Daven earlier. Daven earlier in the day. Someone who waits too long is considered a poshea, is considered a sinner. And now the Gemara brings up the following situation. Let's say you forgot, it's a Shabbat afternoon, it's a Shabbat morning, you daven Shacharit, and you, for whatever reason, didn't daven Musaf. And now you come back to shul later in the day, and it's Mincha time, and you realize you never daven Musaf. So which one should you do first? Should you first daven Musaf, which you missed, or should you first daven Mincha? Right? Think about that yourself. What do you think should go first? What do you think should go second? So I'm sure some of you are thinking that Musaf should go first because that's the one chronologically that goes first, right? First we have Shacharit, then Musaf, then Mincha. The Gemara says something very interesting. It records the following machloket. Tanu Rabbanan, our rabbis learned in a Breita. Please get that down in your notes. Our rabbis learned in a Breita. Everything we're saying right now, please get translated down in your notes on that piece of paper. Hayu lefanav shtei tfilot. If you had in front of you, right, two tfilot, two davenings that you were supposed to do. Achat shel mincha ve'achat shel musaf. You had mincha in front of you and you had musaf in front of you. In other words, you hadn't said musaf yet and it's time for mincha. So you have mincha to say and you have musaf to say. Which should go first? So the Breita first records the opinion of the Tana Kama, right, an anonymous Tana that says, Mitzpalel shel mincha, ve'achar kach mitzpalel shel musaf. First you should daven mincha, and only afterwards should you daven musaf. Mitpalel shel mincha, daven mincha first, ve'achar kach mitpalel shel musaf, and then afterwards daven musaf. Amazing. So first you daven mincha, and then you daven musaf, even though that seems to be out of order. Why? So the Breita gives the reason. Shezu tadira, vizu eina tadira. Because this one, mincha, is common. We say mincha more often. Mincha is more common than musaf, right? Shezu tadira, that this one, mincha, is common to say. Vizu eina tadira. But this one, musaf, is not common to say. We should say mincha before musaf because mincha is a more common davening. It's a davening we do more often. And we have a principle when we have two things to do and we're not sure which one goes first. A common thing or something we do more regularly beats out something that's more rare. And because we daven mincha every single day, and we only daven musaf on Shabbat or Chagim, mincha takes priority over musaf. Fascinating. So according to the Tana Kama, when mincha and musaf are clashing, and I'm not sure which to do first, I say mincha and then musaf because mincha is more common. Mincha is more common than musaf. Answer number 2. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rabbi Yehuda argues and says, Mitzpalel shel musaf ve'achar kach mitzpalel shel mincha. So Rabbi Yehuda backs up many of you who probably thought, first you daven musaf, and only afterwards you daven mincha. Why? But this is interesting. Why musaf first? Shezu mitzvah overet. Because musaf is a mitzvah then that's going to pass you by. Vizu mitzvah she'ena overet. But mincha is not going to pass you by. In other words, remember what we said before. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you only have until the 7th hour to daven musaf. But mincha, you have all the way until shkia, which is the 12th hour. So if it comes down to a clash of saying musaf or saying mincha, so you should say musaf first because the due date or the deadline for musaf is sooner than the due date for mincha. It's like if you have two projects to do, one that's due on Monday and one that's due on Tuesday, so you're going to probably spend time doing the one due on Monday first because the time that you have for that mitzvah or that project is going to pass. That due date is going to come and go and you're going to miss it. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, since you have less time to daven musaf than you have to daven mincha, Musaf should be said first. Very interesting. So what is the halacha? What should we do? So the Gemara concludes, Amar Rabbi Yochanan said, the same Rabbi Yochanan that said before, don't delay when you daven Musaf, he says, halacha, the halacha is, mitpalel shel mincha, ve'achar kach mitpalel shel Musaf. Rabbi Yochanan says that the halacha is you first daven mincha, and then you daven Musaf. Fascinating. I'm saying fascinating a lot, but it's interesting. According to Rabbi Yochanan, you say the more common tefillah first, which is mincha, and only afterwards say Musaf, and that is actually the halacha. That's what you're supposed to do. Now the Gemara concludes by telling us a story, which we always love. Rabbi Zera, it's a story about Rabbi Zera, ki hava chalish migirse, when he would get tired from learning. So some of us, we get tired maybe after the 10 minutes or so you've been doing this video. Rabbi Zera would be learning a lot. When he'd get tired, instead of pulling out his iPhone or, watching some TV, Hava azil v'yativ apitcha devei Rabbi Natan bar Tuvi. He would go and sit by the entrance of Rabbi Natan bar Tuvi's Beit Midrash. So he would go and he would sit at the entrance of Rabbi Natan bar Tuvi's Beit Midrash. Amar, he said to himself, Ki chalfei Rabbanan, when the rabbis come out of the Beit Midrash, az ekum mikamaihu, I'll stand up from my place. Right? I'll get up and stand out of respect for them. Ve'akabel igra nafag. And I'll receive an award for that. I'll receive reward from Hashem for doing a mitzvah, which is amazing. So even when Rabbi Zera was tired, he would put himself in a position to do another mitzvah. Right? It's very holy. He'd stand by the Beit Midrash and he would sit down, relax, and he would get reward. He'd get schar by standing up when the rabbis would come out of the Beit Midrash. So he was sitting there. Ata Rabbi Natan bar Tuvi. Rabbi Natan bar Tuvi came out of the Beit Midrash. Amar le, Rabbi Zera said to him, Man amar halacha Beit Midrasha. So he said to him, what halacha did you learn today in the Beit Midrash? Amar le, so Rabbi Natan bar Tuvi said to Rabbi Zera, Hachi amar Rabbi Yochanan. This is what Rabbi Yochanan said, and it's the halacha we just learned. Ein halacha keRabbi Yehuda. So he says it in the reverse way, but the halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda. De amar means palel adam shel musaf, ve'achar kach mitpalel shel mincha. So Rabbi Natan bar Tuvi told him the halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda, who said that first you daven musaf, and then you daven mincha. We don't follow that halacha, because like we said, we first daven mincha, and then we daven musaf. So again, I may have said that a little too fast. Let's just say it again. So Rabbi Zera said to Rabbi Natan bar Tuvi, what halacha did you learn today? Amar le, Rabbi Natan bar Tuvi said to him, Hachi amar Rabbi Yochanan. This is what Rabbi Yochanan said. Ein halacha keRabbi Yehuda. The halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda, who said that a person should first daven musaf and then should daven mincha. We don't follow that halacha. Right? You can write in brackets. Instead, we follow first you daven mincha and then you daven musaf. Amar le. So Rabbi Zera said back, Rabbi Yochanan amra? Did Rabbi Yochanan say that? Amar le. Rabbi Natan bar Tuvi said, in. Yes. That's what he said. So Tana mine arba'in zimin. Wow. So Rabbi Zera reviewed that halacha, or he learned that halacha again. He kept going over it 40 times. He went over that halacha 40 times. So that must have been pretty surprising. So Amar le, Rabbi Natan bar Tuvi said to him, Chada hilach o chadat hilach? So he asks him a question. Chada hilach o chadati lach. What does that mean? So if you look at Rashi, follow my pointer to Rashi over here, chadahi lach o chadati lach, what does that Rashi mean? Achati lach. So this is what he was asking him. Rabbi Natan Bar Tuvi was asking Rabbi Zera. Achati lach shelo lamadet davari mishmo shel Rabbi Yochanan elazu bilvad lecha chaviva hilach. So he asked him, why are you repeating this so many times? Is it because this is the very first thing you've ever learned in Rabbi Yochanan's name, and therefore it's very precious to you? It's very exciting to learn it? Okay, so again, Rabbi Natan Bar Tuvi is looking at Rabbi Zera, who's going over this teaching of Rabbi Yochanan's 40 times. So he asks him, why are you going over it 40 times? Is it because this is the very first teaching you have ever learned from Rabbi Yochanan? And the reason you're repeating it so many times is because it's so precious to you? Oh, chadasha hilach. Or is it just a chiddush to you? Is it new? Shehayita savur sheachad min acherim amra. Or is the reason why you're going over it so many times is because you thought somebody else taught that halacha and not Rabbi Yochanan, right? So the reason you're going over it is because you need to review it because you thought it was somebody else. Okay, so that's the question that Rabbi Natan Bar Tuvi asks him. Is the reason you're going over it so many times because it's so exciting for you? Because this is the very first teaching you've ever learned from Rabbi Yochanan? Or is it because you made a mistake and thought it was somebody else that taught it, and you now need to review to make sure you know that it's Rabbi Yochanan that said it? So Amar Le, so Rabbi Zera answers him, Chadati li, Mishum demisfeka li b'Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, double dot. So Rabbi Zera answers back, no, it's the second thing. I thought someone else said it. I was in doubt because I thought Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi was the one that taught that halacha. So because I thought Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi taught that halacha and not Rabbi Yochanan, I need to go over it 40 times to make sure that I don't make that mistake. Okay, so that's the end of that piece. Not the longest piece in the world. You should have the notes of this entire section. If you missed something, if you weren't sure about something, go over it again, rewind the tape, make sure you have the translations down, because I'm going to collect this for a grade when I come back on Wednesday. Have a wonderful day, tzaddikim, and we'll see you tomorrow.